is going on, everyone? Welcome back to On the Fence Movie Reviews. Today we're going to talk about Obsession. Now, Obsession stars Michael Johnston, and forgive me about this pronunciation. I believe it's Indy Narrative. Okay, I'm horrible. Anyways, uh, we'll go with Bear and Nikki. So this movie pretty much just follows Bear, and Bear's got this huge crush on Nikki, and he's had this crush on her for years. He's just never told her about it. He's come really close, but he's never told her about it. And so, one day they're out, and they have this group of friends. They've been hanging out, and Nikki wants to go home, and Bear offers to take her home, and so he's really close to telling her how much he cares about her, and how much he wants to be with her, but he doesn't. And even Nikki asks, like, "Hey, Bear, like, do you want to be with me?" And he couldn't get himself to say yes. And that's kind of where our story goes from there. Bear, wanting to be with Nikki so much, he had purchased this trinket from this store, and it's called a One Wish Willow, and he breaks it, not thinking his wish is gonna come true, but he pretty much wishes that Nikki would love him more than anyone else in the world, and there's where we get our title, Obsession. Now, I'm not gonna get into too many. I'm not gonna spoil this movie at all for you. I'm just gonna talk about it's obviously, she becomes pretty much obsessed with. Nikki becomes pretty much obsessed with Bear, and their friends are just kind of like that. That's really weird because she wasn't really into you, and now all of a sudden she's super into you. Something's up there. I will say this movie, and I just I was talking to someone, and they were like, that there are things in this movie that hit really close to home for a lot of people, and I think that's why this movie is so successful, because there's that extreme factor of that wish happening, but when you look at, if you take that out, there's a lot of things in this movie that you can relate to just regularly. Being someone who likes someone and they don't like you back, or being someone who, in Nikki's case, and she expressed this early on in the movie, like she just wants to find love, and being in that situation, and just all these people and their friends who or have their own things going on in their life, and there's someone in this movie, more so with Nikki and Bear, the case of loving someone and not being able to express it because of the lack of confidence or fear of rejection. It's very relatable. And also with Nikki, where it's like you want to feel loved, but for whatever reason you don't, and you're a super nice person, and which she is in this movie. You could see they do a good job of kind of like letting you see her. She has a good heart and a good character, and with those two things, you kind of can relate to either side. But let me tell you, this movie, and they do show, like, when this One Wish Willow works and Nikki starts to just fall head over heels for Bear. They do kind of like show, like, oh, it's really good, but then something happens where it's like she becomes obsessive over him, where it's like she's watching him, well, he sleeps, and she's just moving. Yeah, I'll say this: the way Nikki, the actress who plays Nikki, kind of switches from you know regular to like obsessed, and the things she does, the little like smile, and just how long she stands somewhere, how long she looks, absolutely creepy and horrifying, and she is the standout of this movie. Like, obviously I think the star is Bear. You're following Bear, and it's from his eyes and perspective, but the actress who plays Nikki absolutely knocks it out of the park. She steals the show, really. And it's just, she amazing job, amazing. But I think the creep factor in this movie is there. The horror and the just the disgustingness of things that happen are there. Just imagine someone just being super obsessed with someone and to an unhealthy level. But see, and again, I think that's why this movie hits so well is because they're obviously extreme measures, but even the friends in the movie are kind of like, bro, like, what did you do? Like, what's going on? Something's not right. And you could see, like, you had friends who, or maybe you've had friends or friends who have been in unhealthy relationships, and you're like, oh, that's a red flag, if you will, or that's not okay, or what's going on? Do you need help? Kind of thing. Like, is everything okay? So this movie is very relatable in that way, and the horror element of it, just with Nikki just being very eerie and creepy, and just the way she's always has to be with Bear, and Bear can't do anything, and when he tries to do anything without her, it's taken to an extreme level on Nikki's part. I think everyone in this movie did a phenomenal job as far as the acting. The story is, I think, really well done. And it is a very, and again, I'm going to echo this, it is a very relatable movie. Yes, there are extreme elements in this movie, but it is a very relatable movie, which is why I think it is so well received. Again, acting is great. The scares, there are some scares in there. Again, so for me, I watch enough horror movies where I find jump scares pretty predictable. There's a few in here that caught me off guard, and I was just like, whoa. And the person sitting next to me physically like jumped out of their seat for one of these scares, and I was just like, okay, that's it was funny to watch that, but also that was a really good scare. But overall, I gotta say, like, get off the fence and check out Obsession. Direction is really good. The acting phenomenal. I will say this. Well, I guess one negative I'm gonna have is that you can, because they do have a lower budget for this movie, and you could kind of see, like, there are certain scenes where you're like, oh, why wouldn't have this, like, things happen, you're like, why wouldn't they do this? But I understand, like, they probably didn't have the budget to do that, so I'm not gonna like hold them back for that. They did a good job of kind of like, there's certain things, and you'll see if you watch the movie, you'll see like something happens, something should happen next, but they kind of like, don't really do that. They touch on it, but they don't, go to that place. So it's kind of like, and you could understand, like, oh, that would probably, I was just like, oh, that would probably cost them a lot of money to do that, knowing that how, their budget was very limited. But saying all that, get off the fence, check out Obsession. If you like this video, please do me a favor, hit that like button. If you have not subscribed to On the Fence Movie Reviews, hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get more of these videos out for you. Try to be more consistent with this. But with saying all that, remember, we'll catch you on the fence.